Hey, you guys, it's John and Rachel with the YaJagoff Podcast. We are at the legendary Mr. Smalls in Millville, and this is the behind the scenes of the podcast for this week. Super excited. Anyone who's talked to me in the last couple weeks, you know I've been fangirling that we're doing this episode, and you know how it starts. We have an amazing musician, Gabriella, who is going to sing for us to start the podcast. You get to see all the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm ready. Are you ready?
Here we go. Yeah.
Ready?
If it's too good to be true, somebody's probably scamming you. Another prank caller, I'll refuse. Block the number and laugh. Since when is everything fake news? And I was so naive, believing everything I'd see. Another banner on the screen. You won $1,000. You're the lucky 100th caller, and it's too close to call. Will you be the one who shatters my heart? And I fell for this before. Let me brace myself for when I hit the floor. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Why do you ever let you get into my head? Into my head, my head. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. To think that you actually cared, really cared, really cared. The phone rings and I don't pick up. The phone rings and I won't pick up. Because I'd rather leave you on red. I'm writing down the pros and cons. You broke my trust. Do I move on? And my computer's broke beyond repair. And I never got the money. Now how can that be fair? And it's too close to call. You wouldn't be the first to shatter my heart. And I fell for this before. Let me pick myself up off the floor before you hit me down again. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Why do you ever let you get into my head? Into my head, my head. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. To think that you actually cared, really cared, really cared. The phone rings and I don't pick up. The phone rings and I won't pick up. No, I won't, no, I won't. If it's too good to be true, somebody's probably scamming you. Don't fall for it like I did. It was just my luck, just my luck.
Woo!
Nice.
How about that?
All right. That's a good start.
Wow,
Here,
thanks
we'll
to
put these here.
Steel Kitty for that. What? Am I going over? Oh, it's not my mic.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
right. There you go. You got it. I'll wipe down while you.
I don't think you need to wipe that one down because I was masked and I just held it against there.
I'll just wipe mine down. Still live.
I feel like I don't know if I'm sitting. Are you sitting?
I was gonna sit. Yeah.
Okay. John's gonna sit, and I think that was my cue, huh?
No, you can stand where you want.
Oh,
All right.
I guess then you don't see me, right? If I don't.
All right. So, anyway, so that's how we start the podcast, and we have a bunch of guests here today, and we're in front of Mr. Smalls, as Rachel said. So,
Now we do an ad, right? I know.
I feel like
I feel like those old time Batman shows where the bad guy was always in a crooked thing. All right, we ready?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
All right.
Rohrich Honda treats every day like it's their end of the month. No last-minute steals and made-up incentives. Rather, everyday deals that suit each and every customer. Rohrich Honda recognizes that each customer has a different preference, from the CRV to the Pilot and everything in between.
Consult a representative. As always, visit Rohrich.com for all of your vehicle needs. And now we start this week's YaJagoff Podcast from outside of Mr. Small's Theater in Millvale.
It's Rachel's turn to fangirl.
Right. All right, so if we want to go get Liz.
Liz isn't first.
Oh, Liz is first.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, literally not first.
Yes.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Come on in here,
We
Scott
went over
Tady.
this,
So,
you guys. That's the behind the scenes of the interview.
Right.
I guess we went over this.
I've
So
been
this
called
is-
Liz before, though.
We went over this twice, Scott Tady.
well, I didn't know like first. I get it now. I thought we always take the hostess first, but
Yeah.
first. But
There's a first for everything. John.
right. So this is the YaJagoff Podcast. If you're listening for the first time, we ask you that you subscribe to it on iTunes or the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're on iTunes, say something nice, please.
Only
Like
nice.
A couple of stars would be good.
Yeah.
2 or
We'll
3.
take 'em.
5 is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. Please make sure that you are listening to us, but also listening to on your Odyssey app, because we are on 100.7 Star a couple times a week, every day, Monday through Friday, with Kelly on air with the Daily Dose of Happiness. And Alista, which I feel like you've been doing a lot more, Alista.
Alista does the Jagoff for the week. If we're on time, it's 10:55 every Friday.
If we're on a client call, it's not.
It's like 10:50, yeah, 11:55 or 1:55.
Yeah.
But either way, you can watch on social media when we tag it. It's pretty fun that she picks out. She actually reads the blogs,
Yeah.
and picks out the best one.
Yeah, so read the blogs because they're
Right.
pretty fun. We get to point out Jagoffs. Now we are not having a Jagoff. We have somebody, though, who has supported our cause for as long as I can remember. And we obviously each have known Scott Tady from the Beaver County Times from different areas. Colin and I were talking to Scott about when we would send press releases to him when we were at Markowitz Communications. I've known him because of my dad. And a fun my dad story, Scott had called and said, I have some records that I think you might be able to use. And he said, I think you might have just been with my daughter. You could have given them to him the last time we were together. So that's kind of a fun way of knowing Scott. He's just that guy that everybody appreciates. John, you have good stories about him just the same.
Scott, yeah, we hung out with Garth Brooks together at different,
What?
and
Look
did
at that.
different,
He
right?
has a
Forgot
name
about
drop.
Throw a name drop down
That's-
there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How many
So,
times have you shared that photo? Me, probably about 10. at
oh
least.
yeah, believe me. So here's the deal. First of all, you're from the Beaver County Times, as we said. So and you're here in Allegheny County. First thing is, Beaver County is up, not down. People say I'm going down to the county. That's not true. It's up.
Drives you
It's
crazy.
Very true.
It drives me nuts.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at Mr. Small's today. So real quick here, this is like one of your satellite offices, right?
Love this place.
Yeah. So talk to me about your history and what you know of Mr. Small's.
Right after they opened, Mike Speranza, the co-owner, took me on a tour here, and I've been going to shows ever since. I wore a special today, a 2004
Vintage.
T-shirt for Mr. Smalls. I was the MC here in 2004. They had the Graffiti Rock Challenge. That was the biggest Pittsburgh band festival.
Yes.
The graffiti nightclub was closing. The Skate family bought it to put their luxury cars there or something.
Yeah.
So they needed to scramble to find a place. They came to Smalls. So the owners of Graffiti, Tony Daro, said, if you're going to introduce the bands, do me a favor. Throw some swag in the crowd. People love when you throw. He gave me a book of matches to throw into the crowd. So I'm standing there doing it, and it dawns on me, all the adults are way in the back where they can drink. Nothing but like teenage boys in front. So I started throwing matches.
Teenage
to
boys.
15-year-old
There you
boys.
go.
And,
It didn't cause any problems.
no, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Nothing.
What could go wrong? Is
What could go wrong? What a memory, though. My gosh.
I think the statute of limitations on this accessory to arson is probably expired.
You're good.
17
It's
years.
been 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
You're good.
But I'm coming here. A couple shows coming up. Really, I'm excited. Black Pumas, that's a sold-out show. They're a Grammy-winning band. And then Julian Baker's one of the most intense singers in the world.
Yep.
She's going to be here. So I'm so excited to come back to Mr. Smalls and see live music.
You know, the cool part about you is, and we've talked about this a million times, journalistically, you know, there was always this stigma of newspapers, right? The Trib was always number 2. Post-Gazette was number 1. Beaver County Times sort of weighed in at some point. You have really put the Beaver County Times on the map with all the things that you've done from an entertainment standpoint. Like, people are, like Colin said, they reach out to you first because you have a true appreciation for music, right? It's not just one genre.
Right, and I did try to remind people, and you guys get it. A lot of people do. The Beaver County, we come to Pittsburgh to see shows. We live there because it's cheap and affordable.
Sure.
But we drive to Smalls, or we drive to the Rocks Unit. We drive to PPG Paints Arena to see shows. You guys get it. Some of the radio stations do, and some don't. It's a battle I've been fighting since 1997 when I took on this job.
Right, it's not
Wow,
Europe.
it's been that long.
I grew up in the South Hills. I grew up a stone's throw from Bethel Park. It took me 25, 30 minutes to get to town. From my driveway to the Fort Pitt Tunnels is 35 minutes because there's no Route 88 traffic lights.
Right.
It's not that much farther, folks.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys
true.
always got that.
We do get it, but wow, I'm more astonished with the 1997. Wow.
So
How
I was
about
6 years
that?
old. I was
You
a
were
prodigy.
six. Yeah.
So Scott, and that's the one of the questions I have for you is that now have you always been an entertainment writer? Did you start off like sports or government or school board stuff, and then said,
Why?
"Oh God, I want to
He
go."
does this
I
on
wanna-
purpose,
yeah.
and then he'll reflect on me like, "Rachel on the school board."
Always wanted to do my very first byline was from the South Park High School paper. I covered an Aerosmith concert. My first Duquesne Duke article was an Aerosmith concert. So I worked my way up. I actually interviewed every member of the band eventually.
Stop. How have
You
we
know
never
that's
had this?
her
That is
favorite.
my all-time favorite band.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
No kidding.
She wants
No.
to touch your eyeballs now if you met them. Yeah.
I got
No,
to
and
ask Steven
probably
Tyler a
the
question.
best concert that I have ever to
Which
this
one?
day. Aerosmith.
But what-
99. At it was not PPG, Starlight Amphitheater. When it was Starlight
Oh, yeah,
Amphitheater,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
in the Trib box and literally was this close. And best concert ever,
He
other
got-
than Tom Petty.
He got to ask Steven Tyler
I-
a question. What question do you ask?
It was
him?
when he was an American Idol judge, and whenever I actually,
Oh, so
I actually
earlier.
asked it to Jennifer Lopez, just so she would look at me, and she gave like a Miss America beauty queen answer, and Steven Tyler like correctly said, "No, I disagree," and he like pointed at me and he gave me his answer. I can't remember what the question was.
Is
I was
that
still,
right?
I was still looking at Jennifer Lopez. But Steven Tyler did talk to me.
Wow, boy, that's pretty
That's
cool.
super
But to answer your
cool.
question, yeah, I started out my first few years covering county government, school boards, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was you learn some things.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a different kind of entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
To say the least. It's a circus, yeah.
Entertainment.
Yes.
That's funny. And now let's go a little bit off track a little bit here. So you write about entertainment. You see all these up, like as we found out, Gabriella, who's our musician today, you wrote an article about her back in January. I
She
believe,
goes to
right?
school, with the Linkin Park Performing Arts Center in Midland, Beaver County. Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
So when you see the local talent, and you obviously have your finger on that pulse, but what is the difference with local radio stations at this point? Some of the local radio stations, because of cost, they're going more national acts, or shows during the midday and things like that.
Right.
Is that harder? Are you finding that, or how's that affected the local music scene of people you think should be on the radio?
I do hear a lot of bands saying they wish they could get more airtime.
Yeah.
I mean, WYP does a great job,
Yes.
and the X and DV both have homegrown shows like on Sunday nights, whatever. But the Butler County station, the 97.7 is very surprising. They have a thing called the Grassroots Show, 2 hours on Sundays. They bring in bands for interviews, and throughout the week they play them too. And you can pull them in the North Hills and some places as far down as like McKees Rocks, whatever. So I tell people,
Really?
97.7 Butler County Radio
Let's
really
mark that.
plays a lot of
Wow.
local bands. But I agree with you, like Kiss FM and some of the ones I wish they would do more. Like back in the day, they were playing Mac Miller before anyone. They were
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about Wiz Khalifa before anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd like to see them get back
And
to that.
kudos to WYEP because that is true. We've heard a lot of times, especially them, like so many of our local grown acts. Melinda Kalezai, she's huge. She's been played on there a million times, and look at what she's doing with Women Who Rock.
Looking forward to that show at Stage
Oh my
AE,
gosh,
yeah.
cannot wait for that show.
Rita Wilson, Sheila E.
Yes.
The band of Vindies, I keep praising them. They're from
Yes.
Youngstown.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had
Mary
had
Mack.
them on,
Oh,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
actually did an interview when we were in the COVID process,
Yeah.
right? We
So
did
it
an
was
interview through Zoom
Yeah.
Yeah.
of John, I think it is, from
Yeah.
the band. But we're actually going to be doing something with it. But Mary Mack from Mary Mack Bakehouse always tells us about the
She
Vindies.
sends us
She's
stuff
like
about the
their
Vindies
agent.
constantly. Yeah.
They have. It's not just great music. She has a stage presence. She like just commands the stage. You're riveted when she's on.
Is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
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 Talk about one of our other favorites, Bobby Thompson. I mean, listen, here's our story about him. He is this young guy, like more young than you realize, because you listen to him perform, you look at the accolades that he's gained, and you think he's older than what he is.
Yeah.
But I know that he's a Beaver County guy, right? So already you kind of have that connection. What is it about him and that kind of music that he is like single-handedly saving soul? Right? I mean, he has this R&B and soul feel that most young kids don't have.
I saw him last night at the Swickley Night Mart. And
Okay.
They just took over that place. Some people were going out just to get the food trucks, but people were just stopping their tracks, watching this band, and they were playing everything from
Blues.
Yeah, they were doing like Bruno Mars into Tom Petty. They were
Yes.
just covering a lot of ground. But the thing about him, excellent lefty guitarist.
Yes.
There's a novelty of watching
Sure.
Yes.
the lefty. He just wails, but he's also surrounded himself with a very talented band. Rich Mannion on keyboards has
Yep.
been around forever. He used to play at the Capitol Music Hall band
Right.
in West Virginia. And then the bass player he's got, Rob Sinchak's been in a dozen bands. And so it wasn't just a great guitarist. He's got some older, I won't say older, but
No,
more
it's true.
seasoned guys with him.
We had
keeping
them at
him
the
in
axe
check, and
throwing place, John.
I
Do
love
you
that
remember?
band.
Oh, yeah.
They were
Yeah, for
fantastic.
sure.
You're
And
right.
he-
It's
and
the
he-
blend.
He
But
plays
that's his
with
passion. You can just see how much Bobby loves to play guitar. That's what he lives for, and it comes
Yes.
across on
Yeah.
stage, and people pick up on that.
And he
No
plays with
question.
Justin Wade as well, for also Beaver County, right? Like those two are kind of like neck and neck together. Then they go off and do their thing. Then they come back together again.
Justin Wade's like country rock. He can
Yes.
just switch from soul blues rock to country rock.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like snapping
But
a
he
hand,
has
yeah.
that little boy band ability too. Even though he's happily married, he has that boy band appeal that girls are like, I want to know about
Justin.
this T-shirt song.
Yeah, he's got a good look.
Yeah,
about him,
no,
for
they're
sure.
great guys.
I
And
can't
that's just it. I mean, to talk more about the fact, you talk about Linkin Park. A very dear friend of mine just recently sent her daughter there, and she has nothing but good things to say. She is going to school as a 6th grader from Bellevue, or 7th grader from Bellevue to Linkin Park, and she said it was the best decision she could have made.
They put a lot of national talent out there. The Tony Awards are this weekend, and Moulin Rouge is expected to win. There's a performer at Linkin Park grad, Andrew Ambolino, who was in Moulin Rouge. She was like the understudy, but she actually got on stage and got to play the Sabine. What's the name of the fairy character? The
Oh, yeah.
Drawing a blank on Moulin Rouge. But anyway,
can't-
Linkin Park grad. There was that show, This Is Us. Remember they had a character
Yes.
who was visually impaired. That was a
Yes.
Linkin Park graduate. So they,
Wow.
Gabriella, of course. There was another singer who was on America's Got Talent this past season.
Right.
Like a 15-year-old at Linkin Park. So they're putting out some national
So there you
talent.
go. Move to Beaver County.
Super.
There you go. That's it. That's the end of the podcast.
And you,
Just a further drive.
You can read Scott's columns if you don't want to read it
Yes.
online. You just go to the local store and pick up the newspaper.
Still sold at Sunoco.
How about that? I
that-
love it.
I just throw that out there.
That's
Giant Eagle,
that's a good
Giant Eagle
party-
too, but
that's a
yeah.
good
Giant
party-
Eagle.
Yeah, that's a
Giant
good
Eagle.
party kind of note. Like still sold at Sunoco. That's funny. So when you think about the venues between Beaver, Armstrong, Butler, Washington, Greene County, what are some of your favorites to hit? I mean, Mr. Small's certainly cool in that the level of acts that they bring, but there are some hidden treasures people are probably not seeing.
I'm surprised how many people still tell me, "Hey, I'm thinking of going to the Roxy. Have you been there yet?" Yeah, I've been there a bunch of times, and I really recommend that McKee's Roxy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Got
The
that
old Emerald Room
old-fashioned-
Theater.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy,
yeah.
right?
And it just has the good sound, the good look.
Yeah.
The staff's friendly. So that's one of my favorites too. I'm glad to see Club Cafes coming back. I was
Yes.
worried
Yeah.
about them during COVID, but it looks like
Yes.
they're coming back
Right.
strong.
Yeah.
so happy
That's
about
good.
Just a very intimate venue. You can. When the singer's done, they have to go out for an encore. They walk past you to get outside, and then they
Right.
come. I mean, you can pat them on the back.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah. And I
certainly
think
cool.
musicians are liking that as well because it's more of an intimate feel, right? There's that relatability opportunity with their audience. I mean, that's what it's about.
What's the one song nobody would ever realize Scott Tady has on his
Playlist.
playlist?
Ooh,
Like a Donny Osmond song or something like this.
I'm a big ABBA fan. SOS.
Is that right?
Yeah, love it. I grew up in a house where ABBA was playing on vinyl, and it stayed with me. But
I can't.
yeah.
ABBA's just
But
never.
you know, Chris Jericho and his band Fozzy, they cover ABBA
Yeah.
like a hard rock metal sound, and
Yeah.
it sounds really good.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, like Pearl Jam redid. Well, where has can my baby be? The Lord took her.
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, where have I heard this before? Like, it's crazy when you hear that. Scott, before we go to the coveted question of the day, where does everybody find you? Because you're just hitting 1,900 on Twitter, and people need to be following you.
I need that 2,000.
Right.
Every article I write right away, I tweet it and I put it on Facebook. So I'm just, Twitter at Scott Tady. It's SCOTTTADY. We're timesonline.com. My entertainment stories run throughout the week now. They used to be just every Sunday and Thursday. Now they're
Yeah.
I love
whenever.
it.
So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
first thing I do when I get a concert announcement and they send them to me right away, I tweet it. So you want to
Okay.
know what
You're a
shows are
Twitter
coming
guy.
to town. Yeah, that's
Okay.
the best
Okay.
place.
So is
Sweet.
John. I'm not.
Yeah, I do like
I'm
Twitter.
like an Instagram. And we figured out for anyone who has listened to us that we know Andy Winsco, not Winko, and Scott Tady, not Tady. I was calling him Tady all along. John was doing this Tady thing. I took his lead, and now we're like, this is our very good friend, Scott Tady. And he's like, that's not my name.
That is not
My cousins, the polka band leaders, are Taddies.
Ah.
They pronounce it that way. Jack and Dick
Okay.
Tady. And
There
everyone,
you go.
Those are the ones
That was
I
your
met long
confusion.
before
Both
you, yeah.
polka Hall of
Because I
Famers.
love polka
How about
dancing.
that?
They're in the
You do.
Cleveland
We have a polka
Polka
band
Hall of
every
Fame.
year.
Yes, we do.
All right, Scott, coveted question of the day. We would be remiss if we didn't have something music, right? What is, instead of your favorite song or that song that inspires you, what is that lyric, that sentence-long lyric that you live by? And I'll tell you the reason I ask that. My kids know that mine is, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. That's been my kids have to listen to that song when I'm irritated and I want to change things for them. They're listening to Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror.
Wow. I got in trouble once when my mom read this, but I was the Doors, that song about woke up this morning, got myself a beer. The future's uncertain, the end is always near. Let it roll. Just that whole carpe
Jim
diem,
Morrison,
live for
yeah.
once, and crack open a beer in the morning. Why not?
Thank God it
I
wasn't.
love that.
Thank God it wasn't tear the roof off this.
Mother.
Look, she had to finish it. She's like, I'm going to finish that
I'm
for
a
no
little
good
bit
reason.
That
literal.
might make top 10. That's
How
what
about that? There you go. Scott, you're the best. You know, our next guest is Leslie Bonci, and we're trying to have her on more than just quarterly. Same with you. Please let us know the more that you're doing so we can have you on more often. We just love it.
And things happening in Beaver County
Yeah.
where we could podcast, from which we could podcast.
That we did that one on Linkin Park.
Oh,
with
loved
Arthur
it.
Motes.
Yeah.
And, that was
Arthur
a-
Motes was
One of our
playing
favorite
drums
ones,
and-
yeah.
I know,
and then the Iron Horse Theater. You did the.
Yes.
That was.
And I
yeah.
see the Iron Horse Theater is actually getting ready to play the Mike Webster story.
Saw that.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're
Pretty
doing
cool.
a monthly comedy series now,
Yeah.
stand-up comedy. Yeah, they're really.
They talked to us about that.
Ever since
yeah.
you guys have been there,
That's
things are really taking off.
Oh,
Wow.
thanks.
It's the YaJagoff push.
Well,
the bump.
Scott, we do have a beer and a pierogi. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else
envious.
to say.
I am
Yeah.
envious.
Microphone drop.
There's no Tady beer and there's no Tady Yogi. A Tady Yogi. We have to
Listen,
get
just
a
don't
Tady
tell
Yogi.
Leslie we're eating pierogies,
Yeah, right,
okay?
right.
All right.
You're
All
going
right,
to give me a
cool.
beer when I go, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you got it.
Okay.
You got it. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Scott.
so
It's
much,
always a
Scott.
pleasure.
Keep up the great work, both of you.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
we
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Same. All right.
It is
Leslie, come
seriously
on.
always a pleasure. Colin, you're going to get
Leslie,
video
totally
ready.
up to you
Yes,
if you want to
it's
take
dark
the
in
far
there,
mic or the
I
close
mean,
mic. We have
improvise, I
wipes
guess.
either way.
That's fine. As long as I think we could get some of Liz in there because we want to show part of the cafe. So that's fine. So, Scott, you'll just, when you have a second, he's just going to get video.
And please don't tip.
Okay.
Leslie, if it helps, I'm sort of like positioning one cheek on.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
okay.
I kinda,
It's like we're
I'm using
good.
this foot as my
We
the,
probably look
my prop
awful. I
leg.
don't want to look at our video.
Right. Come on.
But there's a lot of reasons.
I don't look
for
like
that, right?
I've been doing anything by Byron
Who
Nash
felt
at
a
this
little
point.
off kilter today?
It's a little, yeah, we're
Right.
just a little.
But the good news is the camera's straight, so we all look like, hey, what's up? All right. So, Leslie, you're back on the podcast here, and we appreciate it. So, if everybody doesn't know, you have a little column that you're doing for us on YaJagoff.com. Every 2 weeks on the G-Chat side, you have a column, and you're giving advice, but you're giving fun advice, and it's a little bit sassy.
Oh, it's always sassy and smart-assy, I might add, right? Because that's just kind of the way that it is. And, I want people to ask questions because I don't know what everybody wants to know. Ask me questions. So we had one about how to make salads exciting, right?
Yes.
Because salads can be boring. And I'm full of ideas, not always good ones, I might add. But I will always say something, and it will be in a sassy, snarky, and smart-assy way.
Well, that's the best part of you. I mean, the story with Leslie, in case you didn't hear the episode where we were at Mike's Beer, right, over in the North Shore.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun, and there was so much ground to cover that we said we need to work with you more often. And luckily for us, she felt the same. And so we're going to do this every couple weeks. So by all means, you can certainly email Leslie with questions. You can actually tag her if you want as well. But you can also, we're gonna remind you that it's coming up. So if you want to pose a question, that will give her sort of her muse for what the topic is going to be about. And Nicole, who gave the question about the salad, it might sound so passe, like, oh, what do you put in your salad? Isn't it the truth, though? Because that made me think, some people want crunch, some people want protein, some people don't want to eat a lot of greens. You gave a lot of different answers on what people could do.
Yeah, and amazingly, some people don't want to eat any greens.
Yes.
So the good news is that produce comes in all different colors, and it doesn't have to be leafy, and you really have an option. I mean, maybe not a Twinkie salad. I have to draw the line somewhere. But
Twinkie salad.
But
looked at us.
Are you? Yeah. She's like, yeah. Right.
We get it. Draw the
saying.
line.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like salad dressing, but I don't mind a little bit of chocolate syrup on my greens. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
There we go.
Yeah.
So,
So-
the elf.
Right?
Now, we are at Mr. Smalls. You know me, I'm always looking for excuses to eat like a pig. So we are at Mr. Smalls, and this is a place where it's late night. You're done here with your friends. There might be a tradition of going to Primanti's or going somewhere and getting, a 6-egg omelet or whatever. Let's say you're not into shaming, so it's not bad to do that. It's just bad to do that 4 nights a week or 4 nights in a month.
But the thing is that the body isn't keeping tab. Like, oh my God, what were you thinking? A French fry at 11 o'clock. Where do you think it's going? Storing on your ass? I don't think so. This does not happen. It doesn't. I mean, it really is cumulatively what people do over a period of time. That's why we talk dietary patterns rather than shaming people. Who wants to live with guilt? We all have to do that every day. But
Correct.
it should not be about what's on the plate. At the end of the day, food's supposed to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so, and there's a balance. And everybody has a different balance. But does that balance mean I have to be so restrictive and not enjoy anything that I put in my body? No. No, you're not going to have a happy life. Food's supposed to be enjoyable.
Yeah. Well,
that is
that's
a good point.
That's the fun part.
We were even joking before you came on about, the recent pierogies that we ingested. But you've told us before, it's okay. You don't have to eliminate the stuff. Just kind of watch how much intake. So if you're having pierogies one day, no big deal. The next day, kind of get back on track.
Well, but even if you're having pierogies, you may not be eating them at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
So a pierogi is primarily carb, right? It's carb on the outside and some carb on the inside. That's just kind of the way it is.
An onion is a vegetable in there somewhere.
All right, that's enough, John. That's enough. All right, I have the mic right now. Be quiet. So, so when we talk about this, all right, that's the carb, and so maybe you're not having pierogies and pasta together. It would be a little overkill.
Right.
But if you have pierogies and then that's your primary meal, and maybe the next meal you're doing like a grilled chicken salad, does that balance out in the course of a day? Of course it does.
Right.
So
Leslie, talk a little bit too about not just what you're eating, but the importance of how much water intake that goes along with it, as well as exercise.
Well, fluid in general is, hydration never takes a vacation. And it's getting cooler now, right? Thank God. But you still need to be well hydrated. So baseline for women, it's about 2 liters a day. Baseline for men, it's about 3 liters a day. So think about a big pop bottle. The big one is 2. The really big ones are 3. That's what we're talking about. Liquid. All liquid over the course of the day. And if you exercise, you need more than that. And so everything counts as fluid, maybe not so much beer, booze, wine. That doesn't. I was like, a 6-pack? No, wrong. But even caffeine does, right? That's part of the liquid for the day.
Sure.
So being hydrated literally affects you head to toe. Is you don't think clearly if you're not optimally hydrated. You don't.
Yeah.
You can't do the physical activity you want if you're not optimally hydrated. Tomorrow's a great race, right?
Yes.
So hopefully everybody who's going to run that race, which starts near where we live, they've thought about fluid, even though it might be 50-some degrees at the start line, doesn't matter. It's going to get warmer and you're going to sweat when you exercise.
Right.
And I'm a very big believer in movement. I really like that idea of living an active lifestyle, which can also be part of what you do in the kitchen, right? When you prep food, it's not like snap my fingers and there it is, unless you call and order it and somebody else did it. You're prepping. So there's some movement there. But anything, so whether we're stretching, whether we're lifting, you can do a workout in the kitchen. Hey, let me lift that cast iron skillet and knock somebody out. There you go. It's a great bicep movement. It is. I mean, it just is. Or, doing something cardio, like running or rowing or whatever else it is that people do. Every day. I can't without. If I don't have it, I'm a miserable human being, and my poor husband has to deal with it. So it's like moving every day.
Go ahead.
No, I want everybody to know.
I would hog this conversation.
We literally just don't pull Leslie in because she's like just an
icon
person.
Yeah,
right
we
here.
do.
She is an icon. She has worked with the Kansas City Chiefs and all over the country. You've worked with professionals on, whether it's power eating or eating for energy, or let's go to, not that anybody sitting here on this panel is starting to approach an age, but when you start to approach the
some of us are already there,
60s,
John. All right,
when you start to approach the 60s, your metabolism really does slow down. But what do you have to be more cautious
I thought
about?
it slowed down at 46.
Yeah, it's actually this is a myth that it really actually starts to change before that. It's
Is that
not
right?
necessarily just at 60. But the biggest thing is that there are body composition changes. So if you don't use it, you lose it, right? If you don't exercise, you're losing muscle, and then that's a problem. And it also impacts your bone health. So So sometimes what is important is that the quality of what we eat stays the same throughout our life cycle, but the quantity may need to be different. I have a lot of patients I work with, I'm not eating any differently now than I did when I was 20. It's like, yeah, but when you were 20, you were being more efficient at burning the calories. So that doesn't mean eating something the size of a postage stamp, but on the other hand, something the size of a platter may be a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So
whether it's walnuts or, no matter what it is.
And, and even there, and we hear these things, nuts are a healthy food. Yeah, they are, but not a 5-pound bag. I mean, we're
That's
talking
our problem.
about a quarter of a cup.
I'm done.
Like
I quit.
An avocado is not eating 5 of them. It is not that. So,
And that is such a
2-pound
good
bowl
point.
of guacamole.
Because I think this is honestly, I'm confessing to you, I think we make healthy choices, John and I. Like if we're on the road, we're like, let's grab, like your friend Linda made us that amazing bag full of like a mix, trail mix, right?
Trail mix.
But we ate the whole thing.
yeah. Yeah.
Stop. Like that, we can.
I mean, but this is it.
It's not Pringles, but it's still.
But it is the only thing we ate that particular day until we crashed at like 7 o'clock for dinner.
Yeah.
So that's the issue.
Yeah, and those types of things, because they're more energy dense. So between the nuts and the grains and everything, they taste great.
Yeah.
But nobody, let me have a handful and I'm done. Because if the serving size in front of us is a 5-pound bag, it's like, hand them out. Oh
Yes.
my God, where did it go?
Right.
And we look at each other accusingly. I didn't eat it. Like, yes, you did.
Right. And then I'm bloated and I'm mad at John. That's what ends up happening.
Yeah, and we always put our blame appropriately. It wasn't me.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody else caused it. Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty accountable that it's one of us, but still.
And I think I've told this story, like, rice cakes. Rice cakes are good, but when I would pile 6 or 7 tablespoons of peanut butter on the rice cake.
Because otherwise it's not palatable.
Right.
Yeah,
right? I
right.
mean, it's like, why? Just
So
eat a
just
styrofoam cup.
Don't
So what?
punish yourself with rice cakes, right? That's part of your
But
thing,
this is
right?
what people do. Is I'm going to be really good, so I won't eat things that I like. And then meanwhile, you're dreaming of cheesecake or some other thing is happening that you end up eating because your body said, see, told you. That wasn't going to work. You have to have taste in the food that you eat. Absolutely number one. It has to taste good.
Could you be a chef? Like, enough about food that you should just be a chef, right?
Well, no, but you know what? I mean, really, to be a chef, you are doing your sweat equity, and you are learning about every component of what happens in the kitchen as well as the skills, and you've got to be sous chef. You've got to work under other people. And
Okay.
No. I'm not good at working
That's
under people.
swequity.
This is the problem.
I want to be
in
like
charge.
smart.
And I love to create recipes. That's my thing.
I see.
I can do.
All right.
There
And
are
I think
so
we have to give
many
a shout out to sad today too, but talking a little bit about Dr. Fu.
Yeah, I wanted to
Yes,
ask you
right.
if you were good with that. Yes.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I mean, with such an icon. I actually got a chance to work with him for 16 years, and when I first went to work with him, he called me and he said, I'm going to make an offer to you and you can't say no. He said, you're not going to say no. You're going to come and you are going to be the sport nutrition component of the Sports Medicine Center.
Oh, my gosh.
Truly,
Oh,
with the
Leslie.
only one in the country at that time that
Wow.
was so comprehensive.
Oh,
so
I have chills.
A lot.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And I'm so sorry
Wow.
for your loss. But honestly, as you said, it was Pittsburgh's loss. It was more than Pittsburgh's loss, but Pittsburgh is certainly mourning the loss of the amazing Dr. Fu. So yeah,
Well,
definitely our thoughts and prayers.
For sure. So, Leslie, we remind everybody they can find you, and we'll tell everybody where they find you other places, but really the place to go is the GJet column on YaJagoff.com.
Yeah, she has one
because-
more week to kind of rest, and then the following,
Right.
that's
So
where
you-
we're actually
you
going
should
to have
submit
her.
your questions.
Yeah, start
really
submitting
submit questions,
Yeah.
about whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the How Do You Make Salads Exciting was a good one, right? I mean, I'll bet 9 out of 10 people have that question.
But just in general, what do I do? What do I
Yes.
eat? Show me what to eat. Tell me what to eat. And how do I do it in an easy, affordable, accessible way? That's what people want to do.
And that's
right now.
why this is endless, because this conversation could go so many different places.
And listen, if we don't get a question, this is going to be my question, so don't answer it.
I'm afraid of
Right, white or brown rice? There's like a folklore
Ooh,
about
so she
that,
covers her
right? So that's coming
That's
up
a
on the
really good
GJet blog,
question,
right?
John.
All right, Leslie, where does everybody find you online other than the GJet blog on your
Okay, so my Twitter handle is at Leslie Bonci. My website, activeeatingadvice.com, or just look for Diva. No.
Smartass. Hashtag smartass.
Hashtag smartass.
I love it. Yeah.
I
All
love
right.
her. Question of the day, because you're sort of getting accustomed to this as well. We would be remiss if we, sitting out front of the iconic Mr. Smalls and talking to Scott, Tady, and Liz Berlin, and Gabriella, of course, we have to ask, what are your lyrics to live by? And I guess they don't have to be song lyrics, but is there something that you're living by, as I referenced Man in the Mirror?
RESPECT.
I knew it was going to be something like that.
Okay.
You're an Aretha girl.
I
could you
am,
not be?
and it's important, right?
important.
Respect for ourselves, respect for everybody else. That's the way we should be living our life.
Oh, my God. Boom. She's
Leslie,
a microphone
you're
dropper.
Yeah, you're magical.
John, I'm just telling you, we're submitting this one for Golden Quills.
Golden Quill.
It's good
Right.
stuff.
Just
Good
listen
stuff.
to Leslie.
I didn't even whisper that. Facebook Live got to know it.
I like
Leslie,
that. Listen to Leslie. Hashtag listen to Leslie.
hashtag listen
Yeah.
to Leslie. Thank you
I
so
love it.
much. We appreciate you.
My
and we'll see you
pleasure.
in a couple months. And obviously on G-Jet. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take
cool.
care, Leslie.
Thanks, Leslie. All right,
All right,
cool.
Gabriella is up next. We're so excited to talk to her because obviously you heard her song in the beginning, and she's amazing. I mean, we always love the fact when they're young and they're
Leslie
like
juggling
getting
the
it.
microphone,
I know,
the
and
purse,
like-
the curb, straddle the
and
curb.
that, God love her. The
It's
the
so
curb's a little high.
Yeah, there you go. You can go to either one. It's
If you want to wipe off, you can too, honey.
Yeah, we have wipes
It's
if you
up to
like
you.
to wipe
It's
off
either
the
way.
mic. It's up to
Okay.
you. All right, is it Gabriella or Gabrielle? It's Gabriella.
Gabriella.
Yeah, okay, all right. So
I put
this
the
is
la.
super cool in that we've been listening to your music through all of the in between each of the guests today. And the cool thing is you sound like you have a voice that's very experienced, but you are
17.
17.
right?
And as a matter of fact,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gabriella. Happy birthday to you.
YaJagoff.
Yeah, and we didn't cha-cha-cha or do any other weird,
All right, so this is cool in the fact we just had Scott Tady on, and you guys had never met before. He wrote an article about you back in January,
Yeah.
and you never met before. So how cool is that?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah?
To meet him.
Did he look like you pictured him? You
Yeah.
know how people, they picture singers or DJs. Did he look?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I've
that guy,
actually
right?
I've seen him around at like concerts before,
Oh,
but we've
okay.
never talked to him
I
until
gotcha. I
today.
gotcha.
So.
Okay, so tell everybody who doesn't know yet. Obviously, you're 17, but you're super young to have this kind of success already. Tell us a little bit about, the whole when I knew, that kind of thing. Take us through the short life but amazing music career of Gabriella.
Okay. Well, I guess when I was 13, I actually went to a music camp at Mr. Smalls that Liz Berlin does every year. And I got to record for the first time in the recording studio, which was really cool.
The one here?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I went like a second year and I recorded a song called Hoax that I ended up releasing as my first single. And then I actually got heard by someone from WYEP and they featured me as the local artist of the week. So then it was like the last day that they were playing my song on the radio that Jeff Benton of Misra Records heard it. And then he like Facebook messaged me and was like, do you have any like management or anything? And then I signed a record deal. So
And Misra,
there you go.
Yeah.
Misra, we know from Gabinesso recorded her album there, and Andre Costello, who we just had on
Oh, yeah,
the pedal
right.
boats,
Okay.
party. So that's super cool, right?
yeah.
So here's the thing: is that we know you go to Linkin Park in Beaver County. You live in Oakdale.
Yeah.
So that seems a little odd to me. It seems like a lot of dedication, but it also seems like a difficult thing for someone your age, where all my friends are over here going to school and doing these activities, and I'm going all the way over here to go to school. But it also, so how do you juggle that with your friends and things like that?
Well, pretty much like everyone from my school is kind of from like all over the place.
Okay.
So it's a little difficult when we try to like hang out and stuff. We have to like all like meet up usually in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's a really great school to be at. Everybody's just really accepting and really nice. So I'm really glad to be there.
If you could sales pitch for the school, because again, as Scott said, we were there. We actually were on the stage. I want to say they were performing Singing in the Rain, John. Does that sound
Oh.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
And we got to talk to the his name is Justin. I don't know if he's still there. He's like one of the artistic directors and things. But what is it like for people who are contemplating, like, this is my passion, but like John said, do I want to dedicate that kind of time? What's a pitch for the school that you could say, this is why I'm there?
Well, I guess I'm there because all of the teachers are just really helpful. I've been able to learn so much like about music but also it's just such a fun environment to be in because everybody's just really supportive, and there's never like a competition, which a lot of other like music places I've been, there's always been a lot of competition between
for
everyone.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's like not like that at all there. So
okay.
it's a really great
But it's
place.
still raising the level because the bar of the talent there is high.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is an audition process, correct?
Yeah. You just have to like go in and sing a song. I think I actually sang an original song for my
Did you?
audition.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
What is that like as far as writing? Were you a writer first, or did you like the music by trade first and then the writing kind of came next?
I was probably a writer first because I started like writing stories when I was really little, and then I kind of just started singing for like right after. But
It's kind of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
We have a song that goes, I'm so hungry, 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 hungry. We're
Yeah.
always hungry. That's why Leslie has to come on.
Yeah, so writer, and then if you had to, I asked this question randomly through most musicians. So when you're putting a song together, if you say, "Oh, this song needs," is there always one go-to instrument that you would say this song needs this, or no? You're a varied taste kind of.
I don't know. I kind of just, whenever I'm writing a song, I just kind of pick guitar, ukulele, or piano.
Boy,
and
that
Okay.
ukulele's coming up a lot.
Yeah.
I love hearing that because so many of the musicians we've had in probably the last 6 months, right,
Yeah.
have used ukuleles. What is it about that sound?
I'm not really sure.
You just
It's
like the sound of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually, I picked up ukulele like by myself in like one afternoon, one day, and it's really fun to play because it's
Wow.
not very difficult.
Right,
And,
right.
Yeah.
So let's get the I gotcha question out of the way. Who do you take out? Who do you get your music talent from? Your mom or your dad?
I don't really know.
Good answer there.
No, but is there music in your family? Some, grandparents, aunts, uncles, that kind of thing.
I mean, not. There's not many musicians, but everybody
Okay.
is kind of really into like music. That's why I have like a lot of different influences, just because I grew up going to a lot of very different concerts and
Oh,
things.
okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of just like what we do for fun is to go to concerts.
Make
so.
us feel completely old. What's the first concert you ever went to?
I don't know, actually. I think the first thing I probably went to was like maybe the arts festival or something.
Oh, okay.
That's a great answer.
Well,
Way
that's
to
a good
support
one.
local.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
it. So we have a question of the day, but before we go there, first we have to thank Steel Kitty Productions for lending you to us and us even knowing that you exist because your sound is just amazing. Where does everybody follow you?
On Instagram, my @ is at Gabriella's Music. My Facebook is just Gabriella Salvucci, and I have Twitter too, which is Gabriella Salvucci. And I also have a website that has like all my events listed and everything, which is GabriellaSalvucci.com. So
Okay.
And listen, I'll tell you one thing. Rachel knows this is my pet peeve. I hate when people sing, male or female, they talk this way and they sing in this completely other different voice, like a made-up voice. And your voice is exactly now as when you sing. So I'm glad.
So you
of that.
passed the
You're-
John
Yeah, you're not
test.
faking it.
There you go.
You're not making up
There
some
you
voice
go.
to sing it. So I appreciate that.
Listen,
That's
we
very
appreciate you.
cool.
So this is kind of, we're a little hokey on this one, but as we said, we're in front of Mr. Smalls. How can we not ask? What is a lyric, whether you wrote it or it's an iconic song that you live by?
Well, there's a song. It's by Cage the Elephant. It's my favorite song ever. It's called How Are You True? And there's a lyric in it that's soon the present will be past and you'll look back and laugh. And that's just my favorite song lyric.
That's
so.
cool.
That's
That's
a great
cool.
point.
That's a good one.
I love that.
Now, did you
Again,
contemplate
look,
that?
So young.
Did you ever hear the other people answering that? You're over there Googling lyrics? Or you just knew it? Yeah.
No, but if my kids, if you ask my kids, they would be like, "We know it's Man in the Mirror, Mom. We know." Like they almost hate it at this point. They're resentful of Michael Jackson now. No, I'm just kidding.
that's
Thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time, and
thank
we're
you,
gonna actually
Gabriella.
have you
Thank
play
you so
again,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, once we
Okay.
talk
Right
to the
after we
iconic
talk to Liz, yeah.
Berlin.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Yeah.
All
That was
right.
awesome.
Do you want me to put Liz in the middle?
Yeah, Liz. Whenever. Yeah, you're up. I'm just getting some water.
Okay. Thank you.
Listen.
Do you want to spread more, Liz? Do you want to go on the final one? So if you want to unmask, you're not as close.
I don't mind.
It's up to you. It's whatever you want.
And we have
being unmasked.
Okay.
wipes as well if you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. We're just trying to.
And since this is Rachel's chance to fangirl, we're going to put you right next to her.
Oh, we are.
Yeah. So if you're watching on Facebook, we are going to hear from Gabriella in a little bit here, but We have been waiting. Rachel has been waiting for this day for.
We didn't know, and somebody
I
just
did
asked
not
us, like,
know.
who are you interviewed? Who have you interviewed? You know, we get that all the time, and we've said Cyril Wecht is an amazing interview. You know, we interviewed Yarmer Yager, pretty cool interview. But I said, you know, I'm really looking forward to Liz Berlin because, as I said when we got here, sit down. I can't believe that in 5 years of us having the podcast together, we never interviewed you.
And please don't tip. I'm your bouncy house. I'm the
do
bouncy
look
house if
crooked,
you,
yeah. We did have the honor to meet you, obviously, when we were helping out with Adam Valen and Byron Nash with the Whole SOS project, which kudos to you for helping with that. Yeah, the Night Lifeline and all that good stuff, because we're with you. You know, so many people have gone through so much through COVID. I mean, we could literally pick any sector of life and say, this person, this group needs help, hospitality, service, whatever it is. But I think it's so easy because entertainment, particularly music, is everyone's escape. So everyone turns there to feel better. As we said, you know, with the question of the day, what's the lyric that you kind of live by? But you don't stop and think that they probably suffered the most, because if that was their livelihood and COVID took it away, what the hell do you do?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it
very
literally, it was so surreal for people to not recognize that. So kudos to you starting off. But holy hell, we're in front of Mr. Smalls. We're talking to you. Please go through the story of how you've stayed in Pittsburgh and basically why. That's a really big question.
Me personally?
You personally.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, I was involved with Rusted Root from a very young age. Was touring the country by the time I was 20, and basically spent the last 30 years on the road. And, you know, as a young person in Pittsburgh, at the time, Pittsburgh was, you know, there wasn't really much going on here.
At all. Yeah.
And, you know, so I thought, oh, this is my chance. I'll tour the country. I'll find out what the most awesome places to live are, and I'll find the coolest place, and I'll move there.
Yep.
And the more I traveled, the more I just loved Pittsburgh, and the more I just wanted to be home. And
I love that.
yeah, you know, and then, you know, I developed a great relationship with Mike Speranzo, who became my husband, and we, in discussing our dreams and what we wanted to do and what we wanted to create with our lives, we knew that it would be something around music. He was a professional skateboarder.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
He was a
that's
vert-
one of my things in
I
my
didn't
notes,
read
Rachel.
that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mike Speranzo, he was like a pro vert skater in you know, back in the late 80s.
Wow.
Early 90s.
That's
and
so cool. Does he still do it now?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
It's too
Because he doesn't want to, or you don't let him?
Because it's too crucial for him to not be
Hurt.
Broken.
hurt.
Yeah,
Not be
I
broken.
understand.
And that's honestly the reason why.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, back to the story. You know, in discussing what our dreams were together and what we wanted, how we wanted to live our lives together, we knew that we wanted to create something around action sports and music.
Right.
And so the first business that we started was here in Millvale, was Mr. Small's recording studio in a rented location right down on Grant Street. And it was a 5-year lease, and we built a great studio there. A lot of really great local bands recorded there, and we would do live recording shows there sometimes, where we would sell tickets, and the tickets would actually fund the band's recording. And so that was kind of like our first foray into live shows.
Right.
About 4.5 years into that lease, we were in a local diner discussing with our partner at the time, Peter Beckerman, should we renew the lease? Should we try to buy a place to open the studio in? And we were just dreaming, and we were saying, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have a church, if we had a studio in a church? Okay, well, a guy at the counter walks over and happens to be the mayor's brother.
Oh
Typical
my!
Pittsburgh,
How about that?
Right?
Yeah.
Typical.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so he walks up to us and he goes, you know, the borough's got a church. And so that very afternoon, here we are in Millvale, touring this building with the entire city council of Millvale and the mayor, with like our jaws on the floor. Like, are you freaking kidding me? It just like fell out of the sky.
Wow.
And you know, they had purchased the church from the Catholic diocese 7 years before. And they had just been sitting on it because they didn't want to just put it on the market.
Yeah.
They didn't want it
Sure.
to be storage or a strip club or whatever. They
Yeah.
didn't
Right.
know what to do with it.
Right.
But you know, we had been operating a successful
Right.
reputable business in the community. And when they got to know us, they felt comfortable with us and entrusted us with this gorgeous, amazing,
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah.
you know, Pittsburgh asset, you know, Millville asset. And we're so grateful to the borough of Millville and especially to Jim Porter, the mayor at the time,
Wow.
for trusting us with that.
What a great
And
story.
you know, I'd have to think that the folks of Millville are just as grateful at this
Oh.
point because of you became the hub of so
Yep.
many other things coming around here, and other communities wish they had like an anchor like that or an anchor host like you guys. So here you are, you're in this building, and I think it should be called St. Mr. Smalls, but that's okay. We won't worry about that.
Well,
but-
my Catholic school days are guilting me. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I genuflected when I went in. I'm not gonna lie.
So I love the fact that like when we can make this list of all the people that you've opened for, Dave Matthews, Sheryl Crow, performed with all these people, and you somewhat boomerang. You didn't really leave, but you came back here, and not only did you do that, you're doing good things with your talent.
Oh my
Like you
God.
didn't just decide to stop being musicians and kind of do your thing. You started even a nonprofit to help people record and help people in the music. So talk a little bit about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, that really was born just out of the fact that, we had a recording studio and we wanted to help our friends. We wanted to help musicians that we believed in to be able to record. And so our
But stop there. Is
nonprofit-
that because you knew how hard it was, right? Coming up
Oh,
the ranks. It's
yeah.
not an easy profession
Yeah.
to break in. Yeah.
It's not easy. And,
Yeah.
and studio time is expensive.
Right.
And as young musicians, as young aspiring artists, a lot of people don't really know how to start. And so for us, it was really our nonprofit Creative Life Support was born out of like all of the things that we wanted to do for free for our friends that were like bad business ideas. So basically anything that was a bad business idea what got put under the moniker Creative Life Support.
Got it. Yes. Understood.
Square frisbees.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
friend who wants to tell square frisbees.
Well, that
Bring
probably,
'em-
that
yeah.
probably won't go on Creative Life Support, but and since then it's grown into a really legitimate thing with a really long track record. We have a nonprofit record label with several artists that have released and that are getting ready to release. Miguel Segue Jr. is just about to release his first album of indigenous Taino songs, which his songs are so well known that actually people are like have been singing and recording these songs thinking that they are like traditional songs.
Right.
And actually he's the one who wrote
How about
them.
that? Yeah.
So we're helping him to release that album right now. To establish, his claim to his repertoire.
Right.
And then also our educational programs. We have a program that we've been doing for the last 11 years now with the Department of Human Services called the We Rock Workshop. And that is basically, pre-COVID and
Yeah.
post-COVID again, hopefully,
Yes.
will be a free recording, songwriting, production program where we bring foster kids, current for foster kids and kids that are in independent living into
Oh my
Mr.
gosh.
Small's recording studio for 8 weeks, teach them how to collaborate, write music, and then we do 10 weeks of rehearsals and a final show here at Mr. Small's.
I knew you had it. I didn't realize
Yeah.
all of that was a
Oh,
part
yeah.
of
Wow.
it. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And
Yeah.
can you talk about? I mean, let's staying with that whole idea how you're supporting these newer acts. In that, what was the channel like when you tried to put an album out? With Rusted Root. And what's the channel like? How today? There's obviously
Because
social
we'll just
media.
add that Rachel
and those.
Hunt went from IUP to UPJ to Penn State. Wherever you were performing, I was there. Just FYI.
And
I mean,
we're
I'm
gonna,
sure you
we're gonna
recognize
ask you a question in a second here because we want to know that.
Oh,
but
please.
because
nobody wants to know.
no,
these
we
days.
do
The
want to
grunge
know that.
days of the
Like you
90s.
have
I
to
wanna hear
listen.
about that.
You have to prepare all the thing. I want you to think of all the shows you saw.
Okay.
And think about when you were here. I saw you at whatever.
Yeah, dork.
What were
Big
you
dork girl.
thinking?
Yeah.
In this particular song. But so think about that. But in the meantime, what's the channel like to put an album out these days, or is it better to put a single out? And now there has to be video and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
How different is it? I know it's different, but is it easier? Is it harder? Technology makes it easier, but does technology make it harder?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's, back in the day you had to find a lot of money or someone with a lot of money
Yep.
or get signed by a label with a lot of money. And, there was a lot of money that had to be spent on marketing and trying to get you on the radio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it was like a lot fewer people that got that opportunity. Nowadays, with technology, it's widely available. Anyone can figure out the interwebs and figure out how to push the right buttons. And it still does take money to get past a certain point, unless you're lucky or extremely insanely talented. But there's so much more that you can do yourself. But I will say the thing that is in common with the past and with today is that as an artist, the most important thing to do is just create yourself as a business, create yourself as something that is happening, that like for instance with Rusted Root, you know, we toured in concentric circles, and we hooked up with other bands and cross-pollinated our scenes, and we sold 50,000 CDs out of the trunk of our car independently, to the point where Mercury Records, when they finally got hip to us, were like, these people are like a functioning business.
Yes.
That if we plug into, it's gonna like we can blow them up.
Right.
It's really the same today.
Okay.
With all of the opportunity that there is on the internet, it's more possible, and there are more opportunities to create yourself into a functioning business, and that's what it takes to really have any hope of kind of blowing up.
But it's also more crowded, right?
It's also more crowded.
Yeah. So
But
you
I
have to
think
be
it's more crowded because of the
better.
opportunity.
Right?
You know, there's more platforms
Yeah.
versus before there weren't the platforms that there are now.
Right,
You know?
and I think that that's a great thing, because I think there's so much more diversity
Yes.
in genre,
Yep.
in socioeconomic
Acceptance,
people,
yeah.
in gender and racial diversity of all throughout all of music that is being exposed and being received by the public.
But you guys were into, not in a trendy way, you were a social activist, I don't know what word I want to use, band, before that was a thing.
Yeah, we did a lot of charity and a lot of protesting during the 90s with the Iraq War,
Yes.
and Nicaragua
I remember,
situations,
yeah.
apartheid back then as well. We did a lot of that stuff, and that was a lot of what helped to kind of draw people to us, and they wanted to be a part of it. People who cared about those things also were interested in the music, and it kind of it worked hand in hand.
Yeah, no, it did. I mean, and those are the days, like to John's point, what I was saying was, you know, their music, and even back to what we were talking about with COVID, music is that you remember where you were, what you were doing with a certain song or a certain concert or certain performance that you attended. And I don't think you realize the impact that you have on people until you hear stories from people who are like, wow, you know, I was 19 or I was 20, and for real, we went from IUP to Lock Haven in 2 weekends to watch you guys perform, because, you know, here I was, this just typical white Catholic girl from the north, like Brighton Heights, Pittsburgh, and I'm going to big old UPJ, you know, not much diversity, not much going on. And we were like, we're following this amazing band, you know, and my dad's like, what are you guys doing this weekend? I was like, oh, studying, you know. Meanwhile, I'm like, we're with Rusted Root, which was pretty cool, because you really were doing something during a time that, you know, let's face it, grunge bands were definitely in. I remember, you know, Kurt Cobain coming out with his first single when I was it was like 1993-ish, and I was in college in 95, and then all of a sudden you guys are there, and it's like, this is Pittsburgh. And I think Pittsburgh embraced the fact that this is this new genre that we have no idea what it is, but somebody does. And so you kind of gave that identity, and you gave people an opportunity to put themselves in these memories, which is really cool. Right?
Oh, I agree. So, Rach, let's go back.
What were you doing then? No, like, what were you doing?
I'm not even answering that question,
Okay.
because, you know, I was probably
just in college.
having kids at that point.
Okay, fair enough.
So let's see. Pick a one of the shows you saw,
Okay.
like, and
At
what
IUP.
you were doing, and let's like see if Liz remembers. Like, oh, we were there and we did
No,
this
so
or that,
it was like
or a town. Does
95
Liz
or
remember?
6, and you guys
Okay.
were pretty much doing the college circuit, and we literally were. It was like IUP, UPJ, Penn State. I think it was Lock Haven, but I have to remember where it was out that way. And it was just like literally each day you guys were somewhere else, and there was a group of us that literally were like, we're not going to school and we're following them to kind of see. And you're right, I couldn't remember what you were
Apologize
protesting.
to your parents.
No, well, I have an ironic story for you about that, but we'll segue to that.
So
but-
in those days, what were you guys doing as a band? You're in a bus, you're in a truck, you're in cars.
At that point, yeah. At that point, we were in probably multiple
You had-
cars.
yeah.
We may have been in a tour bus at that
I saw a
point.
tour bus.
Okay,
Yes, I
then
did see a
that was
tour
the
bus. That's
the
how I knew you were there.
early tour bus
Yes.
days, and our first tour bus driver was this guy named Uncle Donnie, who was this like old cowboy guy from Nashville.
Yes, I
You
know
remember Uncle
exactly.
Donnie? There
Yes.
you go. There you
Oh
go.
my God.
Yeah.
Listen, that's some funny stuff because then, life goes on. I leave college, I start working at a newspaper, and I literally got married 2 years later. So, again, coming back to saying, I knew who you were. I knew that you were here. The podcast picks up, and now we actually were talking to you guys at your last podcast, and we're like, we need to get Liz Berlin on. Why has this not happened? Because you're so connected to Pittsburgh for so many reasons, like John said, from the nonprofit, but also just to put people in a place and time of where they were, and the fact that you stuck through it, because we have tons of talent here, and people don't realize that. It
true.
didn't stop when genre changed, and now I think that when you look at Nashville, and of course at the time New York and things like that, it was easy to produce music. We didn't have the capabilities. We didn't have the recording studios. And now you're finding these niche recording opportunities that you've really provided. So kudos to you. That's really where
No,
this goes.
Well, thank
yeah.
you. I mean, me and so many other people. I'm
Absolutely.
not
No doubt about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many people in Pittsburgh
Sure.
that have blossomed up so many opportunities
Yeah.
on so many different levels.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, before we give you the question of the day, what's maybe your favorite group, or what group were you in awe of when you opened for them? You're like, oh my God. Was there anybody like that? Or you guys just kind of knew you were on their level?
Oh, no, they're definitely, I think that the biggest starstruck moment that I had was one time I came out of the hotel one morning, got on the tour bus, and Jim Donovan, the drummer, was like, "So guess what our next tour is?" And I was like, "What?" And we were on tour with the Spin Doctors at the time, and he said, "Guess what our next tour is?" And he said, "Page and Plant," and I was like, "Shut the F up." I swear.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
can say
I was like, stop fucking with me. That will never happen, right? And because I love Led Zeppelin so much, and at the time I was thinking, I want to go see like a really good Led Zeppelin cover band because I want to see somebody play this music.
Yeah.
And I know it's never going to happen. And then he tells me this, and like a couple weeks later, we're on tour with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page on their first reunion tour.
Wow.
Touring hockey arenas all across the United States, and I'm sitting in like every day, wake up on the bus, get into the hockey arena, sitting there by myself watching the local Philharmonic rehearsing Led Zeppelin music in soundcheck
That's crazy.
every single day. It was insane.
Wow, that's cool. That's super cool.
That's a good question too, John, because
Yeah.
everybody has their own take on
Yeah,
the different
right.
people that
Exactly.
they've gotten to meet. All right, question of the day. Listen, first of all, where does everybody follow you? I mean, there's so many different ways to follow you. Please support Mr. Smalls, support local, check out what the shows are, support the cafe, support, all the different charitable things that you're doing, and, go old school and listen to Rusted Root. I still have them on my playlist. Just saying. I told my husband, I said, do you think it would be weird if I walked in singing Send Me On My Way? He's like, yeah, don't do it. He's like, please just don't be the person.
We're coming out here some night and have you sing in the studio.
All right,
We're just
sounds
going to
great.
do that.
So easy enough. Question of the day before we go to question of the day, tell everybody where they follow you.
Well, Mr. Smalls Cafe, we're open Thursday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so you can stop by anytime. MrSmalls.com is where you can find all of the show listings and buy all the tickets for the shows. And then as far as me, I've got LizBerlin.com where I've got every single thing linked there. I've got
We
all
didn't
of-
even mention that you're a teacher, you're a part of the faculty at CMU.
That's true, yeah.
What?
Just a little drop.
Yeah.
I do. I teach a course at Carnegie Mellon University, Heinz College, Masters of Entertainment Management, and that is a class called Live Music, Touring, and Revenue Streams. So yeah, all of that stuff is on my website. It was interesting trying to figure out how to organize the website. I actually rebuilt it. It was my first COVID project to rebuild
okay.
this
Oh,
website.
yeah.
And I sort of structured it as educational, where I've got the We Rock workshop, the real life music camp, which I forgot to mention. Also, Gabriella Salvucci is
She
one of
told
my
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is
Yeah,
that?
right.
Yeah.
And then I've also got the Carnegie Mellon University class listed there, and also a form for consultation. If anybody wants to pick my brain about anything, they can pay me by the hour to sit and do that.
So,
with them.
John, I'm just going to go under
Yeah.
different pseudonames.
Right. If you see a credit card from YaJagoff Media, you know
Jones
it's
Smith.
Rachel. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and
No,
then I've got
that's
a tab
awesome.
for my music where it links to obviously Rusted Root, Social Justice Disco, which is my project with Fat Mandy.
Yep.
Liz Berlin, which is my personal music, and Drowning Clowns, which is a band that I'm in with my husband and also our nephew Evan Smith, who's another professional skateboarder. And that's like a psychedelic Americana indie type thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'll have
I
to
love
listen.
it.
I didn't know that.
That's so
there you
cool.
go. See, you learned something new. All right, easy question of the day for you, I'm assuming. So we said, you put yourself in music. You can kind of figure out what you're doing and what time of your life you're in. What are your lyrics to live by? I gave the example my kids have to listen to Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror because everything's accountability, right? But is that my favorite song? Maybe not, but those lyrics are so impactful. What are yours?
Oh boy.
So many, right?
I wish I would have knew this question ahead of time. It's so many.
Mhm.
I have a song that I wrote that I usually teach my students at the beginning of every program, and then at the final show I have them come up and sing it with me.
Okay.
It's called Ask, and
Okay.
I call it my personal declaration of independence, because it's about the time in my life where I realized that everything that I ever wanted to be or do or accomplish, that it was up to me to take like whatever tiny step was possible at the time to go toward that. And so the lyrics to that chorus are, you can say a prayer for what you really want, you can say it all night long, but if you never get your feet marching out the door and start walk towards your life.
Wow. That is good.
I'm going to change my answer, John.
Yeah,
Did you hear
right,
what Liz
right.
just said?
Yeah. We're just going to move your lips right now, and we'll dub that in
said,
over your mouth.
I love
Yeah.
Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
but it's this.
All right. Liz, thank you so much.
Oh my
Thank you
gosh,
for
thanks for
hosting
hosting
us.
us.
Thanks
Yeah.
for letting us kind of hang out here on the sidewalk. We appreciate it. And your basement here is a coffee shop. And
Yeah.
So we need to let everybody know that they can come here. Thanks to Steel Kitty Productions for Gabriella Salvucci.
Yeah, she was great.
That's totally awesome.
Yeah, thanks to Scott Tady, because any reason to have Scott Tady on is a great day. Definitely follow him with Beaver County Times. He's doing great things with music and entertainment. Thanks to Leslie Bonci, because, again, she's getting us healthy. She's there to answer questions, to help everybody, because she's another person who is spearheading some great things in Pittsburgh. And thanks, as always, to Rohrich Honda.
All right. Rohrich Honda treats every day like it's their end of the month. No last-minute steals and made-up incentives. Rather, everyday deals that suit each customer. Rohrich Honda recognizes that each customer has a different preference, from the CRV to the Pilot and every car and even truck in between.
Consult a representative, and as always, visit Rohrich.com for all of your vehicle needs. Thanks for
Now,
listening.
don't go
guys.
anywhere, because we have another
listening
song
to
from
Gabriella.
Gabriella, right? So go grab your little bagel, and here we go.
I met you. My dad is Johnny.
All right. That's good. That's okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll grab it. All right.
Chilly weather, being someone I'm not, too timid to pull the plug, but afraid of getting caught, and the shackles already bound my wrists. My life couldn't go on like this, and it was difficult learning that you never needed me. Guess I'm just a shoulder to cry on, and that's all I'm meant to be. And it seems that I'm the scapegoat, the accomplice, your partner in crime, just another one of your white lies. And you still can't see that you're stomping on thin ice with me, and it's cracking beneath your feet. Oh,
All right, everybody, that's it. You'll hear the edited version on Odyssey. Upper left-hand corner should just be a box that says stop. And that's it.